A while ago, I made a rework video on units that I thought were outdated and needed fixing. A rework of one of those units just dropped. I'm talking about Selphie, of course. We're going to be looking at how JP reworked her and comparing that to how I originally reworked her. Let's get started. If you look at both the official reworked skill 1 and my skill 1 for Selphie, they do the same damage. We both chose 6 AoE HP attacks. I'm very surprised by that. The only difference between the two is the healing aspect. Both of them heal the same technically, but my rework for Selphie had a slightly higher healing limit than the official one. The official one, it's still only up to 30% of max HP, but I changed it up to 50%. I wanted Selphie to have more of a burst healing option that also dealt damage. They didn't improve that on their rework skill 1. I don't think it's that big of a deal though. It still heals quite a bit. More often than not, you'll be just fine with 30%. Now, I put her EX on the list, but for the most part, it actually hasn't changed at all. It still grants the party aura for only 3 turns, and that buff is going to run out. Hence why in my rework, I actually made it so Selphie granted everyone aura for 5 turns instead of 3. You're able to fill up your EX gauge significantly faster because it has an EX gauge rate up by 20% in the buff. I would have personally made it last a little bit longer for the party, but you know, 3 turns, given how often Selphie's EX comes out, I think for the most part it'll still be okay. And also her other buff gives party brave regen anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. I will say though, with the LD, we were both the same. That is really cool. Selphie isn't meant to be like a huge crazy DPS character. Yeah, I think 8 AoE HP attacks by 100% of current brave is fine. She's more of a utility character, not a DPS character. Now, before we get into the FR and BT, let's go ahead and look at the force conditions. The official JP force conditions are you get a 40% when you're granting brave to an ally, and then another 40% whenever you're receiving brave regen before your turn. It's pretty simple for the most part. The second condition is very easy to accomplish because Selphie's buff grants party brave regen, so you don't have to worry about that. What I am a little bit bummed out by is the first condition, in which you have to grant brave to an ally. Now, I will say the condition isn't as restrictive as it was in the past. Given a number of effects with current units allow even selfish units to grant brave to allies, but if we're just going off the force conditions alone, I really wouldn't use this as the main. Let's look at my force conditions that I gave Selphie. 25% when receiving brave regen before the turn, so the developers and I did choose the same condition. However, I made my force conditions more geared towards launching the enemy, and I gave her a bit of a Sid Reigns FR. 20% when you're initially launching, and then 20% per mid-air attack. So all in all, if you fulfill all the conditions, you'd be getting around 85%. And also, if you have someone who follows up again, Aranea or Sid Reigns, you get an extra 20%. And if you're Kais and you launch twice, guess what? Hella numbers from the force weapon. Since Selphie is very launch heavy based, I would have thought that the force conditions would center towards that more. The official JP rework did take a more passive route in just choosing the more supporty conditions, which I would have chosen conditions surrounding launch more. Now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and look at Selphie's FR. I was pretty surprised when I looked at Selphie's official JP FR, and it didn't inflict the debuff Rapture on all enemies. All it did was grant the party brave by 100% of Selphie's max brave, and it does grant 2 free ability uses, which is interesting. I must say I wasn't expecting that. I was hoping her FR would behave more like an LD. I guess it just batteries the party and gives 2 free ability uses. I personally wouldn't have reworked her like that, but I will say compared to my rework, the fact that her FR effect straight up gives you party HP cap up by 30% without any strings attached, that's a cool effect. But overall, I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting just a little bit more from her force weapon. I definitely gave her the similar LD treatment. I made it so her FR didn't deal any brave damage. It reduced all enemy brave by 100%. It has the same battery as Selphie's official FR, but like Selphie's LD, I also made it delay all enemies by 2 turns and inflict group rapture for 6 turns, just to make sure that all enemies have that debuff on them. And while it is active, whenever anyone launches, they get a party HP cap up of 30%. That is the condition I gave for that damage boost. This was more along the lines of what I was expecting, but beggars can't be choosers. Let's go ahead and go to the BT. This is Selphie's official BT rework. We both listed her BT to last 8 turns. I think that's a good length for Selphie. Of course, you don't want Selphie, who's a fast unit, to have a 6-turn BT effect. Like, that's not good. So 8 turns I think is was right in the sweet spot. We both had the generic party HP cap up by 30%. Here is where we differ. The official BT rework has 100% brave retention on every single HP attack they do. Every single HP attack you do, you are retaining all of the brave that you normally would consume when you're dealing HP attacks. All of it's there. Being able to retain all of your brave, essentially having like an Astos effect on your party, that's crazy. That's not even broken in the launch side of things. It's just broken in general. This kind of solidifies to me that you can absolutely use Selphie as your main support unit. You could have used her as your main support unit before, but you kind of had to worry about, are you going to deal the most damage possible? But with this BT effect, you don't have to worry at all. For the most part, you will be dealing max HP damage. The last effect that her BT has is party 100% damage up on last HP attacks while in midair. Let me explain by this. So basically, the last HP attack that everyone deals while in midair, this is per person by the way, so if one person follows up midair and they deal 1 HP attack, that's gonna get the 100% damage up boost. But if you're dealing with someone like Renee or Sid Reigns, I believe only their last HP attack will be receiving that 100% damage up. I mean, if they just had a 100% damage up in their entire follow-up, that'd be hella broken. I don't... I understand why they didn't do that, but I still think giving the boost on only the last HP attack is perfectly fine. My BT was nowhere near that deep. Yes, it did last 8 turns. It has the party HP cap up by 30%, but I only gave it another effect, party HP cap up by 30% while you're in midair, which is similar to the official BT because we both added a boost in damage while your party was in midair, but they definitely thought about it a lot more than I did. If I had to choose between the two, obviously, it'd be a no-brainer to choose the official one. But yeah, overall, I'm very surprised how accurate I got some of Selphie's rework. In Force Conditions, we chose the same one in receiving Brave Regen before turn. Both of our reworks for the skill 1 and LD do the same damage. But overall, I think Selphie is basically the same unit, regardless of which rework you choose. She's still going to be launch enabling for your party. She's still going to be boosting that launch damage. I mean, it's not boosting launch damage like Fujin. I think it's still perfectly fine. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like Selphie's rework? Do you find it a bit disappointing? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!